Good morning and welcome back to Morning Live. For the Sports Desk, my name is Vusiwe Ngobo. Now, today we speak to a World Cup winner, a Hollard Sport Industry Lifetime Achievement Award winner, and really one of the finest cricketing brains globally. Gary Kirsten, good morning and welcome to Sport on Morning Live.
Morning, Vusiwe.
Now, Gary, you've been involved in cricket for what really does seem to be a lifetime, from growing up at the Newland Stadium where your father was the groundsman to having a successful cricketing career. Talk us through your journey in the sports of cricket, from the good to the bad times in World Cups as a player.
Well, I'm obviously very privileged to, having played the game for so long and to end up becoming kind of part of my livelihood, which is, not something that happens to everyone, but it is certainly a real privilege. And, then to go on and in very unlikely fashion end up playing for the Proteas for a number of years, equally a privilege and certainly not something that I expected. But it was great to be part of a team that did really well on the world stage, even though we were back into international competition for a very short period of time. And then, as you've mentioned, the disappointments for us as Proteas is that we haven't been able to win a World Cup event, but it's not easy to do it. Lots of countries haven't, but I'm sure it'll come soon.
Certainly. Let's talk about your coaching job in India. When you took that job, you must have felt like you're being thrown into the ocean, the deep side of the ocean, even where you had to either sink or swim. But obviously also because you didn't have a lot of coaching experience at international level, but the players seemingly bought into your philosophy. Talk us through that experience.
Yeah, it was an incredible journey, actually. As you've mentioned, I didn't have much coaching experience, and I think the powers that be in Indian cricket were looking for a personality that matched the Indian team. But we ended up having a great fun over 3 years. I spent a lot of time just trying to understand Indian culture and understand what makes them tick as people. And I thought, if I just kind of closed my mouth and open my ears, I would get to understand how they want to be led, as one of their leaders. But I think I had a very close relationship with the Indian captain, MS Dhoni, and we were able as leaders to, move the team forward in the direction that they wanted to go in.
Certainly. Now let's bring it back home to South Africa. South African cricket lovers certainly would have loved to see you stay on at the Proteas a bit longer, where you were successful. Tell us about your decision not to stay as a coach for the Proteas for that full 4-year period.
Yeah, well, I actually had only signed a contract for 2 years. And the reason being was, my family was growing up at that point with 3 young kids, and the demands on travel in international sport are excessive, and I think we all need, as human beings, need to make decisions. What is more important, and I loved working with the Proteas, and as mentioned, our first goal was to do really well in Test cricket, which we ended up having a lot of success in, and then obviously to prepare for the World Cup tournament. But that was still 4 years out when I had started that job with the Proteas. So it was really just an end of the contract, my 2-year period. And in that year, I think it was 2013, I had spent 80% of the year away from home, and it was just becoming not possible to keep doing it.
Now, Gary, you have touched on this already, but I want us to delve a little bit deeper into it, because so often a lot is said about players being under a lot of pressure playing at international level, but very little is said about coaches as well as their families. What are the dynamics that your wife faced being married to an international coach while raising a young family?
Yeah, it can't be underestimated. It is one of the toughest jobs, just with a full family and with a father present. But without a present father, with 3 young kids, all school going, it's a hard task. So my wife is the hero, really, of the whole journey, that she was able to fly kids around the world to come and see me, and then obviously to single parent, when I wasn't around. In fact, I think she was a lot more resilient than I was. I mean, it took its toll on me far more than it did on her. She kind of adapted, got into it, understood the demands, and just went for it. But I got quite lonely and depressed on the road, just staying in hotel rooms and not really connecting or being with my family at all. It was a tough task for me to deal with. So, I'm glad I made the decision to, cut short my international coaching career. But at the same time, you always miss the opportunities. I really enjoyed the work, but there was pressure on both sides that I had to, weigh up.
Now, Gary, before I move on about talking about where cricket in South Africa is at the moment, give me your highlight in your coaching career as well as in your career as a player, the moments that just stand out for you.
Well, there are many highlights and there are many lowlights, and that is sport for you. I think the beauty about sport and what I really enjoy about it is there's never a guarantee of who the winner is going to be. That's true sport. And that's why I'm involved in it. I love the journey of sport where you're not sure who's going to come out a winner at the end. And for me, that is kind of real competition. But I just think for me, it's more just the journey of being able to be in a competitive environment and give of your best. That's what I love about it, and that's why I love sport.
Certainly. Okay, now, Gary, we live in a country with huge inequality, despite the constant and continuous calls for equal opportunities for all. But how would you say that we're doing in making sure that the underprivileged have access to facilities, particularly in relation to the sports of cricket?
Well, I think it's a massive question. So I'm not sure I have the answer on that. But I did many years ago now try and understand that better as a privileged professional sportsman who received all access and opportunities to pursue my talents and my skills. And I felt that I just wanted to go and understand in a township community in Cape Town what opportunities and access they had to the game of cricket that I've loved for so long. And I was very surprised. Well, not actually overly surprised, but it was disappointing to see that in the 8 schools that I went to visit with over 10,000 kids at school there was no access to sport, let alone cricket facilities. And it just, sport having been part of my life for so long, and just to see kids not getting access to pursue their talents, woke me up a little bit to say, listen, you've got to make a play here. And as I said, I'm just one person, just thinking about it. You're not necessarily going to be able to change a lot, but certainly showcase what is possible, and that you can produce and create opportunities in township communities.
Certainly. Now, Gary, we look at a country like India where there's such a difference in terms of class, but they seem to have done a good job in terms of ensuring that the underprivileged have access to cricket and sports. What do you think we can learn from a country like India in terms of making the sports accessible to those that come from disadvantaged backgrounds?
Yeah, I think that's a difficult question because you've also got to remember that cricket is within the DNA of every Indian. So street cricket there and informal environments where cricket is played is not the same as in a lot of other countries, and certainly not in South Africa. Although cricket is a national sport and is a big sport in our country, you see a lot less of the game being played at an informal level on the streets. So because it doesn't sit in our DNA, you've got to create those environments. And it's amazing when you do create the environments where cricket can be played and it is formal and organized and the facilities are there and available and good, that in a very quick space of time, you see a lot of talented young players mastering their skills at a young age and coming through. We've got, through the foundation work, and really it's the coaches that are the heroes, and we spend most of our time developing our coaches. But they're working with the young players, and we've got kids that have been playing for 2 years the game of cricket and already playing representative cricket.
Gary, thank you so much for your time this morning. Have a blessed day further.
Thank you very much. Take care.
That is, of course, Gary Kirsten, a World Cup winner and a Hollard Sports Lifetime Achievement winner right here on Sports on Morning Live. That is how we wrap up your sports bulletin in the